Have you ever wondered what happens to the water that flows down drains and toilets in your home? Hi, I'm Barry, and today I'm going to show you how wastewater gets treated. The journey begins here in your community. When it rains, snows, or when you wash your car in your driveway, the water runoff is known as stormwater. It flows into these storm drains that you see in your neighborhood streets. Storm drains connect to streams and creeks and eventually lead to Lake Ontario. But something different happens to the water that you use in your home. All the water that goes down drains and toilets in your home is known as wastewater. It's full of food, soap, waste, and more. Wastewater never goes straight into the lake or river. From your basement, wastewater flows into underground pipes that follow the natural slope of the land. So most of the time, wastewater just flows downhill to the Wastewater Treatment Facility. Now let's go see how we treat it.
All the wastewater from thousands of homes and buildings across Mississauga, Brampton, and parts of Caledon arrives here. It's collected in 6 big underground pipes directly underneath me. Each pipe is 6 feet in diameter. Now let's go see the first step in wastewater treatment. The wastewater flows through these moving screens. The screens trap materials that should never be flushed down your toilet. Things like plastics, rags, and dental floss. Everything the screens trap ends up on these conveyors. The conveyors bring all the garbage into large bins in the building next door. The garbage from the conveyors is collected here. When these bins are full, trucks take it away to landfill. Next, let's see where the wastewater goes. After the screening, the wastewater travels into underground grit chambers. Each of the chambers is round and spins wastewater, kind of like swirling water in a cup. As it spins, sand and small rocks are separated, move to the center of the chambers, and are removed. Now that the solid particles and garbage have been removed from the wastewater, it flows into settling tanks like this one. We call these settling tanks because the wastewater is given time to settle. At the top of the tank, scum floats and is made up of grease, fats, and oils. At the bottom of the tank, sludge sinks and is made up of heavier materials, mainly human waste. Over here we have an empty settling tank, so you can see how deep it is. So now we have sunken sludge and floating scum. What happens next? See this large machine across the tank? We call this the bridge, but it doesn't stay in one spot like a regular bridge. The bridge slowly travels the length of the tank. As it moves, it scrapes the sludge along the bottom and skins the scum along the top. It takes 30 minutes for the bridge to travel all the way across the tank. Watch, I'll show you. The sludge and the scum are pushed to the end of the tank where it's collected. The sludge underwater we can't see, but at the surface we can see the scum collecting here. This is a continuous process. The bridge will lift, go back to the far end of the tank, and start over. Now the journey splits in two. First we'll see where the sludge and scum go, then we'll come back and see what happens to the wastewater. The sludge and the scum from the settling tanks, now referred to as biosolids, are pumped into these machines called centrifuges. A centrifuge spins biosolids super fast, like the spin cycle of a washing machine, and remove excess water. Now getting rid of biosolids, that's where things really heat up. This is one of 4 biosolids incinerators, and it heats up to over 840 degrees Celsius. The biosolids enter the incinerator with the consistency of cake batter. The incinerator then heats up the biosolids until they turn into ash. For every 10 tons of biosolids, we end up with only 1 ton of ash. Now let's go see where the ash ends up. This is a lagoon where the ash is stored. The water is red because of the iron minerals we added to eliminate phosphates. This is just a little ways away from the incinerators over there, so we add water to the ash to make it easier to pump. And that's how biosolids have turned to ash. Let's go back to where our journey split in two and find out what happens to wastewater from the settling tanks. With the biosolids removed from the wastewater, something interesting happens. Wastewater flows into these aeration tanks. Aeration is a process of pumping oxygen into water. Do you see all those bubbles? That's the oxygen. Aeration allows good bacteria to eat the sludge that didn't sink and the scum that didn't float from the settling tanks. This process is what makes wastewater clear, but it's not clean yet. These are the clarifying tanks. Remember the good bacteria that ate everything to make the water clear? They now sink to the bottom of the tanks and are removed. The water at the top of the tank is now clean and is what we return to Lake Ontario. Along the way, we add chlorine as a final disinfectant. It's now time for us to return the treated wastewater back to Lake Ontario. An underwater pipe stretches just over 2 kilometers out and lies at the bottom of the lake. Before we return the treated wastewater, we remove any excess chlorine. Now let's go take a look at the control room. Here's where we monitor all the processes we talked about today. Operators ensure that water quality standards are always being followed and that operations throughout the facility, like the aeration tanks and incineration, are functioning properly. Lake Ontario is our most important body of water. It is the home to a variety of fish and plant life. It's the source of our drinking water, and as we saw today, where stormwater and treated wastewater ends up. Even though our wastewater goes through an intense treatment process, we want to limit our impact on the environment. We can do this by keeping harmful chemicals like paints, expired medication, and harsh cleaners out of our sinks, drains, and toilets. Let's all do our part to keep Lake Ontario clean and healthy.